say what a big fangirl I am of you two. You just give this wonderful, safe, happy vibe, and I just appreciate you so much. And thank you everybody for coming today. I was super, super nervous, but after that, I feel really comfortable. So yeah, I have a lot of the hats that I think many of us wear. I'm a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend, a wife. My bearded dragon's name is Bagel. And I think a lot of what inspired Marcus, he's back there, my partner in crime, was just when we got married. We met in architecture school at UNC Charlotte. And when we got married in 2010, it was the recession. So there was no work for architects back then. And so we did what everybody had to do, was just kind of make ends meet. We worked 7 jobs for 2.5 years. I remember our first Christmas, and I tell this story a lot. We had to sit down and have a conversation about, were we going to spend $35 on our first Christmas tree? I mean, it was $35. Now you can't buy a Christmas tree for $35, but back then that meant like, okay, we were going to have popcorn for a few days, and then because we had to buy all the ornaments and everything, which we still have, and we hang quite a few of them on our Christmas tree every year. But, and so finally, when the recession started to lift and we had kind of landed where we were going to land, we both eventually ended up with my parents' business. Marcus had kind of moved up as my mom's, I guess, mentoree or Padawan. And so he was the general manager at a full-service hotel in West Columbia. I was at the corporate office doing all the corporate stuff, like HR, development, design, all of that good stuff. And so we're talking like 2015 at this point. So we noticed what the shift was with millennials and how life and travel was more experiential versus we have to travel for work, we have to do these things. So, and in Columbia at that time, there were so many really great opportunities, and there still are some really great opportunities for historical preservation and tax credits and all of those good things, and we were historic architecture nerds. So we were like, let's do this. We miraculously talked my parents into doing some ride-arounds with us to investigate it a little further, and during those ride-arounds around Columbia to look at potential properties, we saw Hotel Trundle's buildings. And for different reasons, my parents did not want to go that route because it was smaller property. But Marcus and I were like, well, maybe we can do this. I mean, it's small enough. We can do this, right? I mean, how hard can it be?
Sure, why not?
Sometimes ignorance is bliss. But we ended up throwing together some floor plans and ended on 41 rooms, and everything aligned, our finances, the timing. We had just had my second son, Vaughn, who's out in the audience, and we knew we weren't going to have any more kids, and so there was parking right across the street. Everything just was perfectly in a line for us. So that's why the unicorn is our logo icon, because it was truly the unicorn opportunity. So we signed on November 6th of 2016, and that was it, and it was just full steam ahead after that. And, creating a brand, I think after 5.5 years, I'm so proud of what we did, because anytime we feel, or I guess I feel like, what am I doing? This is so damn hard. Am I doing the right thing? I just come back to our core values, which is, Cassie had such a nice, I don't know if she's still here, but what is our why? And our why, before we even started Hotel Trundle, we had this conversation about why would we choose to do this? Like, this is a huge risk. And our 3 reasons were to be able to show our boys the world, to have the resources and the flexibility to do that. Because travel is so important in shaping your outlook on other people, empathy, compassion, really appreciating the things we have and setting goals for ourselves in the future. Also to be a bigger part of the Columbia landscape, to really do something cool and impactful. Mm-hmm. And then the third one was just simply to make a dream come true. So that's kind of where Hotel Trundle kind of came from.
Love that. So we had a conversation earlier, and you've talked about your family, like at kind of every moment, and you light up when you talk about your family. I imagine that your parents and your extended family and your family even have shaped a lot about how you and Marcus and your team think about customer experience and the customer journey. If you could describe what your parents instilled in you and kind of taught you, because that has shaped a lot in terms of dream and rubber hits the road.
Yeah, yes. So my parents have owned and operated hotels in Orangeburg, South Carolina, which I was raised. Their properties have all been franchise properties. So it's like Hilton, Marriott's, Choice. And so ever since I was able to walk, we were, helping the desk clerks count pennies and, folding towels with the laundry folks. And so we were able to see everything from the back of the house to the front of the house, what those challenges were. But the way that travel works is so very different from them. So I think with all of that, I see, and Marcus and I saw the things we didn't want to do. Because with franchise properties, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to use this product. And sometimes they're just not the best product. It's just not. Like the towels are uncomfortable. The soap just is too slimy or something like that. So when we did boutique, we didn't have the means to travel and test out all these really great boutique hotels, which we absolutely do all the time now, which is so much fun. We just truly thought about what would we want? What would we want if we went to the hotel and it was everything it could possibly be for us? And that would be, really great amenities that are beautiful and, free breakfast, a beer or a glass of wine at check-in. Is there anything better?
No.
Or even a Diet Coke or water or whatever, just some kind of a beverage, it's just nice. And to have a robe and everything when you walk in, it just feels good. And so that's what we always strive for. And, one of the things that really impacted me as far as something not to do, when I was working one of those 7 jobs, it was at the front desk of one of my parents' hotel. Marcus was my boss. And I was being paid $8.50 an hour. There was no nepotism. So there was this one man that would come in almost every 2 weeks during my shift, and he would throw his confirmation paper at me every single time. And I would work there for 2 years. And I'm like, and he was a Diamond Platinum member, and he needed to be addressed by his name and given a water. And if he didn't, he would complain to corporate office, and we would get fined. And I'm just like, why? Why would we put our team under that? And I understand the value in that, but so that's where kindness comes from when you deal with people, the general public, and your team. So Marcus and I decided from the bat that we were not going to do any kind of point system, that everybody gets everything once they walk into our doors. Everyone is the same, and you get to enjoy everything about Hotel Trundle, no matter if you stayed with us once or 100 times, even though we appreciate the 100 times.
Oh, that's awesome.
So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you agree.
Yeah. Everything for everyone.
Right.
So you're clear on who your customer is, and I think you're equally as clear on who your customer is not.
Right.
Could you describe that? How does that come together from that one customer maybe as a launch pad, or a bunch of different perspective points?
Yeah, I think when we originally started, when we put our business plan together and we were kind of stating who we imagined our ideal market to be, it was kind of middle management, people that traveled a lot, corporate work through the week, and then a lot of leisure guests during the weekend. And the leisure guests have come every time during the weekend, but the traveler ended up not being the kind of manager that travels a lot for their, what do you call it, their regions. It ended up becoming the CEOs and the VIPs and all of this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we kind of shifted and started to pay more attention to those types of guests. But we do enjoy everybody. I mean, Hotel Trundle is not a peg that can go in any spot. It's forever changing. So we just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm throwing stuff at the wall, and whatever sticks, we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
It's just, especially with the pandemic, our history was moot. So now we're on it's 2023. We have 2 solid years of history, even though we've been open for almost 5.5, because the first 2018 and 2019 don't really count anymore. 2020, let's just not talk about that. And then 2021 was ramp up. 2022 and 2023 are probably where we got back to where we needed to be.
Right. So iterate and repeat. You've been blessed with, first of all, the ability to be able to find and hire a really good team, but I'm familiar that they have really good retention on their team, which in the hospitality industry is difficult to come by. So you will have a process to hire people. It's kind of a 2-part question. So explain to everyone kind of how you do that, because they're front line to every moment of the customer experience and journey, the hiring process, and then kind of a loaded, tough question too is, I feel sure you believe that customer service and that hospitality can be taught in a way. And how do you go about doing that and inspiring the team to be as passionate about customer experience as you are?
Right. Yeah. So, I'm a big believer in vibrations, like the people give off vibes. And, Marcus does most of the interviewing, but he encourages that team leader, like so our executive housekeeper or our captain, to be in attendance during the interviews, because it's that person who our new hire will be working with most. And so that person has to connect with the person that we're going to be hiring first and foremost. So, we assess that way. It's like, what are they wearing? Are they confident? And really, we can teach anybody a program or, how to use the laundry equipment, but you can't teach somebody how to treat other people. That's something that's kind of part of who you are, and it's kindness that matters the most to us. And what I mean by kindness, we encourage that by gift giving. So if we have guests come in that are celebrating, or we'll write them a note and give them some champagne, because those celebrations are important. We all live these very busy lives, so I really appreciate when people take time out of their lives to celebrate that, and even more choose Hotel Trundle to do that at. And that goes with the not so fun parts of life too, So we empathize with our guests. We have every single kind of card you could imagine in our little stationery cabinet to kind of be there and ready for all the things that guests go through. But, and I think also being there on a personal level for our team, because everyone's going through so much. And so me and Marcus really try to be available and assist without question when people need things. And I think our team really appreciate and understand the genuine care and concern about them as humans, number one, and then two, our team. And I think if you come from a place of authenticity and care and concern, and that just resonates way more than you think it does.
The messages threading from the last session too. It's interesting to kind of hear that,
Yeah.
but from a different perspective. I would imagine that customer experience, I'm thinking about like someone being in a hotel room and it's kind of like a home away from home. It's kind of like customer experience really to the max. And at every kind of point and turn that a guest has, they're experiencing this sort of wow and the glitter and kind of all of that. That's part of the vibe at the hotel. Are you able to like kind of put into words the experience that you're hoping guests will have, trying to paint a picture for someone that's maybe never been inside?
So when people come to Hotel Trundle, they have a level of expectation which we want them to have, and we want our story to carry through so that they can see the level of detail and thought that we put into everything. And I think a lot of that came through our community collaborations, from like our beds to our mattresses, to the coffee we serve, to almost everything we've tried to source locally as much as possible. And I think that makes it even more special for guests, that it's not just the interior design, but it's the story behind each piece. It's the definition of a unicorn. It's like, it just carries through, and the details hopefully speak to our guests about how much we are, how passionate we are about what we do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to kind of like continue on with that point, being the CEO and the sort of the director of everything's related to the customer experience and sweating that 24/7, 365. I noticed on Instagram a couple weeks ago, this is before she and I just started spending a little bit of time together, that she was going to take a day off. And I was like, a day? Like, that's just not nearly enough to recharge. Sweating the customer experience and the business, all the things, 24/7, 365 is, it's exhausting. I can't even imagine. So how are you able to take time to kind of refill your tank, your pitcher? What are you doing for yourself? Because I know that's really important.
Yeah, it is. And I want to give my husband Marcus credit, okay? Because he's the one who answers the phone calls at 3 a.m., not me. So I definitely take a lot of time for myself when I need it, because, I don't know, I'm 43, I just turned 43, and for some reason I had a veil pulled over, where I was able to see more clearly of what I wanted out of life, what was most important to me, and that's my family, traveling, things that make me happy. And so I have to make the time. I must make the time for me, and if that includes not feeling guilty about the time it takes for me to get my nails done, I try not to feel guilty about that. I go to therapy regularly. I go on walks almost daily. I work out 3 times a week. I enjoy white wine. So it's those things. I spend time with my friends, the ones that really care about me, not the ones that we all know, like that. So I'm just trying to rearrange, shed, and prioritize differently. Like, I want to be there for my kids at dinner, and I want to be able to do their homework with them, and I want to, go to soccer practice and go on a date with my husband, and just do all of those things. And so that's a balance. So I have to remember to not feel guilty about it.
Right. It's an interesting phrase, to make a point to not feel guilty. That's like,
Do you know what I mean when I say
I do
that?
though, but it's like a inherent, I think, mom thing, maybe
Yes.
also female thing, if I could be stereotypical. And that's like a tough thing to you still have to carry is like, I'm trying not to feel guilt.
Yeah.
I guess switching gears a little bit, we have some young, I think I saw some of the USC students here, some young entrepreneurs or some first-time entrepreneurs here who are obviously interested in creating customer experience. They're sitting in this session, probably also fangirl and all the things of you. What kinds of advice do you have? You've learned a lot over the 5.5 years of this particular leg of the journey, plus all the experiences that informed it. So advice to share, a general question.
Yeah, I think before anyone starts anything, you must dig deep. Like, be crystal clear on your why, because that is going to be your North Star, as Cassie was saying. And Greg was saying, it's like, because you are going to get lost along the way. But if you have your crystal hardcore, why, that will always bring you back and put you back on the right path. So do it for the right reasons, because everything else will come through authenticity and a genuine drive to do things that make you happy internally, Right. So I know it's really cliche to say you have to be happy with yourself and love yourself first before anyone else can. But I'm a true believer in that, because your energy has to manifest itself in some way. So if you're not true to yourself, then, you will never truly be happy. Yeah. If that makes, I know that's a strong statement to say, but in my experience, that's what I'm discovering and continue to learn.
Right. It's a lifelong journey. It's not just to get to the stop sign and you're like, oh, check, did that.
Yeah, like the exception is yes. So I say no to almost everything. But if it's something that I feel like is worth the time away from my family, if it's worth, inspiring myself or other people, and I am genuinely happy and excited to do it, then yes, I'm going to be there. But if it's not going to fill my cup, I'll have to respectfully decline.
Right. Right. How do you contain the customer experience, perfectionist within you in terms of just like living your everyday life, and you see all these different kinds of experiences, not all of which meet your expectation, might be within your work or outside of your work. How do you wrestle with that? I imagine you have exceedingly high expectations. I know I do, and that's a big struggle for me. Mm-hmm. So putting that into balance and check. So
you're asking,
how do you let the control freak not control and get freaky?
I can't.
Is that fair?
I am probably the biggest perfectionist, which really is an Achilles heel sometimes. I think that's where my husband and my team come in, and they're like, it's going to be fine. That's not realistic, or this is a great idea. Our team gives us a lot of feedback too. So one of our housekeeping staff suggested that we put hot chocolate in the rooms during the winter season, and guests loved it. So that's a little piece of a guest experience that just, kind of, oh, wow, that's nice. Like, oh, yes, and the kids can enjoy it. And it's just creating these moments and making sure, like words, for instance. We're expanding across the street, 5 rooms at the Flutterwing. And a lot of times people say, why did you name it Flutterwing? And I'm like, well, Flutterwing is a play on words, and it's like the west wing or the east wing of a home or a mansion or castle or whatever. And but flutter is just, for me, one of those words that just makes me happy. Like bubbles, or what's another word? Like jelly. Easton? What? Glimmer? Vaughn? Moonlight? My little mini-me's over here. So, yeah, it's just like those things. It's just words. And then how can we then translate that into the guest experience through the softest pillows you can find, or really cool looking robes or, you know, a smell from our amenities that it's just a really nice, comfortable stay.
Right. It's like a full sensory experience.
Exactly.
So it's the human to human kind of interactions, but then we were talking about that earlier, the scents and the color vibe and the color palette, all of that comes together. I don't know if you, for just especially for those that haven't been in there, you hopefully are stalking on Instagram. Just a reminder.
Pop in and have a glass
We
of wine.
Trundle. But describe that for us, what that's like, because it's like primary purple plus other
Yeah.
more feminine colors.
Yeah, so we have 3 purples in our branding colors because purple is my favorite color. And then, you know, at the time when we were developing Hotel Trundle, that's just what I was feeling. I'm a very color person, like highlighter purple and really cool, like citronella yellow. And so those are just the colors that are throughout the hotel. And, you know, my kids inspired a lot of the artwork. And, you know, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. It's interesting. I find myself personifying those colors in different points of the year or the season or whatever. And so those, you know, it's just a kind of point in, it's like almost like a time capsule, because that was me then, and hopefully in the future my me will be different shades.
Right.
But, you know, I can't say enough about our team because they make me want to be better because they're just so kind. I mean, like, and you all know, I mean, people can be cruel, but when you meet that person that you just click with, that's a stranger at one point, you just know. And those are the people that we want to have on our team because that spreads in our team, just like the bad apple, the good apple spreads too. So.
Right. So I was also thinking too about people here potentially interested in real estate investing or the hospitality industry or profession, both of which my, I don't know, observations are tough industries to get into from a capital perspective, an experience perspective. You obviously have a lot of experience to, you know, lend and to share. Are there like advice pockets that you have in those particular realms?
I mean, you
Have
have
partners.
To,
I know that's one of
yeah,
them. Good partners. Yes.
A lot of support. I mean, networking in the right circles. Learn how to talk to a banker, which to me is like all those little sayings like, I can't even think of them right now, but I feel like bankers use a lot of, what's one,
Banker
Marcus?
speak.
Cap rates and IRR.
Know what cap rates are.
And blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? So, yeah, just write all those acronyms down and go talk to somebody that you feel safe around and ask them all those questions because, like, it's a learning experience, learning all that stuff. It's nuts. And half the time, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. I'm like, okay, got it, you know, and I'm just.
It's the real here. Yes. No.
We learn as we go.
For
you
sure.
know.
And by the way, we do have some friendly bankers attending. Dom, who's in our competitor session right now, is he and his team are super friendly. I've met some other bankers here as well. So this is a good crowd to kind of practice and test that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to chime in on how bankers talk, please do.
Okay. All right. So some nuts and bolts then. You read, listen to podcasts. I don't know how you're absorbing information these days. I know through the phone, but do you have resources that are kind of your go-tos from an entrepreneurship perspective? Really from any of the hats you wear that you'd recommend to the folks that are here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the boutique hotel space, I highly recommend stalking your favorite hotels. And when I mean like not only how they organize their website, but who made their website, who their photographers were, and then research those photographers, you know, like what products they use. Like a lot of people, I really love the Boutique Lifestyle Lodging Association, and so we enjoy going to those conferences. And some of the hoteliers that I drool over are speakers there, so I have an opportunity to ask them questions. Lots and lots of questions. Pinterest rabbit holes are where I find the most comfort because you see one image that, sparks that visual joy, click on it, scroll, and then you find like 5 more and click on those and there's 50 more. So it's just kind of being inspired. It's like crowdsourced inspiration. And so, but you can file them away in little folders and then come back to them and get organized again. I mean, inspired again, but I think what inspires me is, beauty and what I feel is beautiful, what I feel is special. And that's how we design our spaces, and that's that.
Right.
Which is really, when we opened up the dens, which is there another accommodations menu edition. So we have our hotel experience and then our expansion on Main Street, which is the Flutter Wing, and we have 2 historic duplexes in Cottontown, which we've called the Dens. But we opened 2 of them in September, so our website's on the fritz right now, so you have to dig a little, but go to fall of 2023, and hopefully they're there today. But anyway, that was truly my design. We didn't have a designer. I did everything on it. And so when we opened, I was so nervous because it was like, everything on display and everyone's going to be there to like nitpick it and everything. And I was just like so vulnerable. But everyone liked it, so that was good.
They're beautiful.
You never know
They
unless
really
you
are.
try.
Yeah,
So.
really are beautiful. Okay, so to be clear, you are opening 5 new rooms. You just opened part 1 of the dens,
Yep.
so the other one is under construction. So like a day in your life, like you have 2 hours of sleep-ish.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your day. And
Okay.
Is there, no, there's not a typical day.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, so, well, we wake up at 6:30. Today we woke up at 6:48. And
School starts at 7:30.
that's right. The
Yeah.
boys are downstairs, breakfast, get them ready for school, feed our farm animals, our dog, our dragon, 2 kids, and then Marcus takes them to school. Then I get ready, I go for my walk or go work out, and then around 10 o'clock I sit down at the computer and start working. Then I'll probably have to take Guinness to the vet, and then I'll come back, just mixing in all the things. And I have hired my best friend forever. Her name's Raven. She's always been my sidekick, but she's officially my right-hand woman now, and she's handling a lot of the things that would just kind of sink me down. And so now I'm able to work on the things that need more of my time and attention. So we are getting organized, and she's been a huge help in that way. But yeah, so we talk and kind of delegate who's going to do what. We make our phone calls. And so right now, I'm doing a lot of research on a potential new project. And super excited about that. I was hoping I'd be able to announce something today, but not quite yet. So I'm doing a lot of research on that, researching for the second dens, which they're called, also named after our boys, the cutie pie, the honeybee, the sweetie, the sweet boy, and the sugar baby. So the cutie pie and the honeybee are complete, and then hopefully in January for the other 2. But I have to pick the right color, and why am I picking that color, and what I want it to feel like. And so doing a lot of that stuff and design work, getting ready for the holidays, our holiday cards, our lists, our New Year's, our campaigns, our ads. Yeah, it's just a lot of things.
A lot. Yes.
A lot of things. But we're
Yes.
home. We pick the boys up at around 4:30, dinner, soccer practice, and all those things. So it's a normal life. It's just jam-packed.
Right.
Yeah.
Some exciting news.
And Marcus
for
does
sure.
most of the heavy lifting. I mean, I'm like, hey, babe, can you take care of this? Okay.
How do you feel about taking a couple of questions from the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Do y'all have questions? Oh, come on. I know you do. Oh, one in the back.
Yep.
Yes, 2 in the back and 1 over here. We'll go with the back first.
I'm a Colombian. I've lived here most of my life. I love the city. You're investing in the city. You have a great property.
Thank you.
But
Thank you, I guess. So, picking up, so how do you envision yourself being part of the group or the junta that thinks about making us a destination place? I mean, the inherent self-interest for your hotel, but really for the community where you have longstanding roots.
Okay, so your question is, how can we,
All right, I'll back up. I'll start from the beginning, and
Okay.
I'll do it quick. So you have a great hotel. We put people up when we bring them into town. They love your hotel. It's great. But Columbia itself as a city is not a destination place for people outside for conferences and things. I mean, this is local people mostly here. How do you think of your role, and how do you fit into the mosaic of other people who are thinking about making Columbia more of a destination place for events and activities, which would then inherently, inherent self-interest for you, right, would help grow your business?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So Columbia is becoming a destination city because of things like, also, it's very attractive to outside developers from really big cities because land is cheap, there's not a lot of red tape, which from my perspective there is, but from their perspective there's not. But as far as like kind of fun, drilling down a little bit, is like if I had, 3 or 4 little 41 to 65 room boutique hotels around Columbia that are just as special as Hotel Trundle, we get more of these really yummy restaurants like Khao Thai, Moa, the Korean barbecue place. They're, and what is it? Tupelo Honey and the cantinas, and it just becomes this like mecca of all of these little businesses that are unique to Columbia. That's what's going to create the destination. And it's going to become that little place like downtown Asheville or, what's another really, downtown Charleston. I mean, we're never going to be a Charleston. We're never going to be a New York City. We're never going to be, even in Austin, Texas. But we can be Columbia, South Carolina, with some of the cutest hotels and the best local restaurants you could ever try, with 3 rivers running through the middle of the city, and a national park, and a really great military community. Those are the things that we already have that we need to highlight. And I think having, not to toot my own horn, but award-winning hotels, award-winning restaurants that can have more eyes on us collectively, that's going to bring people here and make Columbia more desirable.
Can we take a minute just to celebrate that? We need more of that in Columbia. Yes. Embrace who we uniquely are. And
Yeah.
I think with a lot of appreciation to you and to Marcus and your family for making a significant investment in that and having that, being part of that collective vision for the future and what we can be uniquely us. Thank you for that great question.
Yeah.
Is there another one here to the...
How you doing? I love your presentation.
Oh, thanks.
My husband and I own a private car limousine company as well as a travel agency. What are you guys doing to collaborate with small businesses in order to bring in a partnership, so to speak?
Yeah, so we love collaborating with our fellow small business owners. So let me have your information. And so when guests call and they're requesting car services, we are happy to share information. We have in our lobby, we call it our library lobby, and it has, anyone's welcome to put their menus, their cards, anything, because it's front facing to the guests right when they come down. Local shows come a lot. We want to support our local businesses as much as possible. So we try to incorporate those in the guest experience, like the popcorn we serve at check-in. It's just like a little sweet treat. It's local. The beer we serve is local. Our wine vendor is local. Let me know how I can help you, because we most certainly want to lift up our community, which is one of our pillars.
Fantastic. Other questions?
Hello.
How about some insight on the dynamics of working with your spouse?
Oh.
That was actually my last question,
Oh,
so
yes.
thank you for
Ultra
stealing
specific
it.
question to him.
Well, we have a great therapist, like, I think it's good to keep yourself out of crisis mode. Marcus and I love each other deeply and passionately, but sometimes, life gets in the way and you kind of have to refocus. So it's just like constant communication, which is hard sometimes. But, I think it also helps that we don't work and live in the same office space. I removed myself out of the office. Now I work from home. That's helped a lot. It's nice to have your own place, your own things. But yeah, like we're learning every day too, I think as long as we're open to hearing each other from a place of love and care, I think that's what kind of brings us out of our lows. But we have so many highs, and one thing is like travel often without the kiddos. But do travel often with the kiddos.
With and without.
Yeah, when you go without, it's market research.
It's market research.
Market research.
You could write it off a different way.
Right.
Not sure. We'll have to ask the accountants. Okay, last question then. First of all, just thank you all for spending some time with us. Then what can this community do for you and to support your vision, your company, this community here?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. One, I know Marcus and I built Hotel Trundle. We are Hotel Trundle, but if Columbia wasn't ready for Hotel Trundle, we would not have been successful. So I have to say, next to our team, the Columbia community has really lifted us up. I think word of mouth is so powerful for Hotel Trundle and the different brands we're trying to produce or create. Just telling your friend about Hotel Trundle. Tell them to come and stay with us. Leave us a review. Leave any small business that you go to that you really enjoy. Leave them a review because those reviews matter. Even if it's something little that you didn't enjoy, maybe don't put it in writing, but tell the people that you think could possibly change it because that feedback is actually very, very much valued because you just want to make your business better. Yeah, so reviews, word of mouth, that would be excellent. Follow us on Instagram, at Hotel Trundle, at @thedens_Hotel Trundle. Yeah.
And the DJ has kind of a comment, not more or less a question, but one of the things I think is really important is that we know the great things that you do, but we live here, so people assume that if they live here, they don't need to stay there. I've been going to therapy too, and one of the great things that we talk about is staycations. So I would also suggest that even if you do live in Columbia, even if you're like me, as someone that lives less than 10 minutes away from Hotel Trundle, find some time on your calendar to stay at a hotel in your city. You will appreciate it a lot more than being out of town, I promise you. So I will probably throw that out there as a suggestion that I think is really helpful as well. And I plan to book something very soon.
Please
So, yeah.
do.
That's
yes.
fantastic.
I think also, if I can say one more thing, I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's like being a tourist in your own city can be so eye-opening if you come through and you look through the perspective as a tourist. It's really fun. I mean, we don't get to do that. Maybe we'll go stay at the Graduate, but yeah. Anyway, please come and stay with us. It'll be fun. And call if you have any questions. If you kind of create a relationship with our guest services, they definitely make notes, and we read all the notes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my last challenge to you is if you haven't been to Hotel Trundle 2, it's right across the street from the Cannon Garage, which I think is where most everyone parked today. So you can just kind of take a peek in the lobby and sort of see for yourself the whole experience and the vibe that they're creating. So thank you for making the time today. If you'll help me thank Rita for joining us.
Thank you. And if you have any other questions, you can email my husband just kidding. No, but seriously, if you have questions or you need to reach out, my email is rita@hoteltrundle.com.
There you go. All right, thank you again.